Well, those were, as I said, we heard from people who are fighting not just for their constituents, but for all the nation, and I really thank them. Next, we're going to hear from the co-chairs of the committee that put together and wrote the transition report. We'll start with Joan Entmacher of the National Women's Law Center.
Thank you, Nancy. For the vast majority of Americans, but especially for women, Social Security is the foundation of their retirement security. It's also a vital family insurance program that provides income security for workers and their families in case of disability and death, and ensuring that workers get the benefits that they've earned promptly and in full is the mission of the Social Security Administration. As you've heard, Social Security does a remarkable job serving tens of millions of people under incredible budget pressures that have already taken a toll on the ability to do their work. Ironically, one problem that Social Security may face in the funding area is that the tens of millions of Americans who get their checks every month on time, in full, with annual cost of living adjustments may think that, the program runs itself. Isn't it amazing? Well, there's a lot more to it than that. In order to get benefits, you first have to know that you are entitled to benefits. And while most people are aware that Social Security provides retirement benefits to workers, they may not know about the disability and life insurance benefits of the program. They may not know about the benefits available to family members, to spouses, surviving spouses, widows, and children. They may not fully understand their retirement options. So in all of these areas, there's a need to make sure that people know about their benefits, that they understand the application process and can work through it, and that if there is a need for an appeal, that it is processed promptly and accurately. And as the report documents, these are all areas in which we think the program can be improved with support from Congress providing adequate funding and resources and support for doing that job right. The report makes a number of recommendations for how to increase public awareness of the benefits to which they are entitled. And it starts with restoring the mailing of the annual benefit statement to all workers that was dropped in a budget-saving move. That report not only told workers what they might get when they retired, but also pointed out that they were eligible for disability and life insurance benefits based on what they had earned so far. And not only mailing the annual statement, but enhancing it by providing more detailed information to workers at particular ages or when a child is born. I sometimes approach new parents in my office and tell them, hey, did you know that you just got disability and life insurance benefits for your children? And they look at me like I'm crazy. And yeah, well, you've been working for the last several years. Your children are already protected. This is information that we could easily make available to everyone. The report also recommends making more information available in print. I love the internet. My mother does not use it at all. There is a need to restore print materials, including in other languages, and making language materials on the internet available in other languages as well. Technology is great, it's terrific, but you have to go to the website and sort of know what you're looking for. Having pamphlets available, doing outreach to the community is a very important way to ensure that the public understands the program. Second, helping people through the benefit claiming process. We make a number of recommendations for ensuring that all aspects of the program are accessible to people with limited English proficiency and with disabilities. It's not just an issue if you're applying for disability benefits. All aspects of the program have to be accessible. And the applications for SSI and disability benefits are particularly challenging, and Paul will have more to say about that. But those are not the only populations who need more help than they're getting now. Many Americans don't fully understand how the choices they make about when to claim retirement benefits will affect their income over the long term and the income of a spouse or surviving spouse. These are some of the largest financial decisions that people will make, but in recent years the agency has really emphasized, do it online, it's quick and easy, takes only 15 minutes. This is a huge financial decision, and one of the recommendations we make is to not only ensure that staff have the training to guide people through these important decisions, but are encouraged to provide the expert help that people look for when they go to a Social Security office or call a Social Security employee. Lastly, we have a number of recommendations about the appeals process. Sadly, one of the casualties of the inadequate funding is that progress that had been made in reducing the backlog of disability appeals has been reversed, and we are now starting to see the backlog build up again. So this is a really urgent area for action.
And last but not least, we have Paul Nathanson with the National Senior Citizens Law Center.
Thank you very much, Nancy and the Coalition and everyone else who's worked on this, I think, very important report. The National Senior Citizens Law Center, of which I'm the Executive Director, was started in 1972 as part of OEO. I don't know how many remember the Office of Economic Opportunity. Our focus is on the poor, the most vulnerable, although we are, and Social Security and the SSI program, Supplemental Security Income Program, are part of our agenda. The SSI program is oftentimes forgotten. We include recommendations in this report with respect to it. I think it is getting more and more attention. Our office is doing a webinar today on the appeals process, and we have over 850 sign-ons in terms of people, advocates being interested in the program. The statement that I've been making all along, and why I'm particularly pleased and excited about the report, is that it makes the case that you can have a wonderful statute, which the Social Security Act is. And let me say at the outset that I'm certainly, and we are great supporters of the program, which is administered with a very small budget and in basically a wonderful way. But you can have a wonderful program on statute, but if it's not administered or the appeals aren't set up in an appropriate way, or people do not find out about their benefits, because we live in a claims-based society. People need to go find out about things. We don't automatically tell them. If you don't do those administrative things, if you don't have language access, where in the SSI program over a third of the individuals ask for their interviews to be in a language other than English, if you don't have translators, if you don't have those kinds of resources available, oftentimes the benefits of that wonderful statute don't really reach the street. And that's sort of where our role comes in as advocates, as legal services lawyers who tend to see the clients at that level. We should not have had to sue the Social Security Administration to translate materials for the blind into Braille and have a fight for years with the Social Security Administration to achieve that. And again, I'm talking about a wonderful program, but a part of which needs to be changed and be more sensitive. The appeals process, in many ways, is deficient. A lot of it, I'm sure, has to do with insufficient funding, but a certain amount also may have to do with training and the importance and the message sent by leadership about due process and about the protections that individuals need. Many years ago, with respect to welfare programs, there was a case called Goldberg versus Kelly, which basically guaranteed the rights to have a hearing while your aid is pending, and it applies also to Social Security SSI. In many instances, those rights now, because of the administrative process, are not honored. So we have some real challenges. Again, a wonderful program. But I'm very excited, and I would be especially happy if the Congress looks at the administration of the program, as good as it is, and hopefully we can improve it. We don't find, for example, that, and this is just recently brought to my attention, that the agency keeps statistics based on race. It would be important, it seems to me, as advocates for the most vulnerable, to understand how the program interacts with various racial components or constituents. So again, I think most of my points have been made already, but I think again, extremely important to recognize you can have a wonderful program on the books, but the measurement of its success should not be that statute or even the court cases. It ought to be, how does it play out on the street? And that's what administration is about, and that's what I think this report addresses, and I'm very pleased to be part of it. Thank you very much.
If there are questions, we'll be happy to take them. Let me say that for those in the room, there are hard copies of the report, but for those watching online, there are electronic copies. Just go to strengthensocialsecurity.org, and you'll be able to download an electronic copy of the report. So thank you, everyone, for coming, and seeing no. Oh, go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit about your plans for the distribution of the report, how you plan on using it? I understand you're going to be meeting with the commissioner to talk about your recommendations. Are you going to use this in other kinds of activities, lobbying for more appropriations and things like that?
Yeah, we think we've got a very valuable resource here, and we've written this report because we think the recommendations need to be implemented. So we are going to try every way that we can. Some of it is through a forum like this. It may be that we can have hearings. There will be a new commissioner. We've got an acting commissioner now. We'll have when the new commissioner is named. But it's not just for the commissioner. It's for members of Congress and also for the administration. So we plan to distribute copies to every member of Congress, for example. Well, thank you all so much for being here, and please help us make this become a reality.
Well, but if you want, it's still on. We've got a few people watching. It's not huge numbers, but if you want to see it, yeah, no. But that's if you want to talk into the live stream, and then we'll also have it as the video, and we can cut it together. So just 30 seconds. Yeah, same place.
For those who are on live stream, we've got a few more comments to make. Huh?
Well, I just want, in response to the question about the use of the report, frankly, I think that it's important to have it be distributed in Congress, but I would hope and would like to work with some national organizations, perhaps to have local hearings. I mean, and we need not necessarily have my sense is congressmen will come, or congresspeople will come, but if we have some local field activities around this report to make this issue important, my sense is we may get some play back home in certain districts. So that was part of the suggestion I have.
And again, speaking as part of the live stream, and I urge others to come who want to speak, but they're really, several of the members mentioned enemies of the program, and that's not hyperbole, that's very real. But there are two ways to undermine a program. One is legislatively. Right. The other is to starve the agency. If people have qualified for benefits but are waiting, I think the wait lines are longer than the Congress recommends for private sector wait lines and call waiting. If you're waiting and waiting and waiting, you're long lines, you can't get into the offices, you try to go online, it just doesn't work. It undermines confidence and support for the program. And it's a wildly successful program because it provides a very basic need, but also because its service has always been first class. Every commissioner from the beginning has really emphasized that, but you can't do it without resources. So if others want to make, I see other experts in the audience, so feel free. We've got a live stream viewers watching. If not, we will conclude. Oh, Sarah, come on up. This is Sarah Byrne with the Alliance for Retired Americans. Yeah, because the camera will get you.
All right. This is just a question for the panel. We understand that Social Security is exempted from cuts via the sequester. However, the administrative budget is not. Can you talk a bit more about that dynamic and how it may be addressed?
Yes. It's important to understand that workers all know they contribute every paycheck to Social Security. It's not just paying for the benefits, for the insurance that they're earning. It also pays for the administration of the program. There, of course, is a limitation on expenditures. You can't spend all 2.7. There has to be some oversight of all the money that's spent. But it is separate from the general operating fund. It has, as I said, a $2.7 trillion surplus. Nevertheless, it has been subject to sequestration, and even before that, its budget was cut, so that it is in nominal dollars as well as real dollars has a lower budget now than it had in 2010, even though its workload is growing dramatically as the population ages. So part of the recommendation is to treat Social Security the way it deserves to be treated, understanding that it's supported by a dedicated revenue stream and it has a surplus. And we're hoping that that's a recommendation that the appropriations committees will take seriously, so that they're not in competition when it's not a real competition. Other comments, thoughts, questions? Thank you all so much.
Although